Hello and welcome to the televisual motoring feast that is Four Wheels Good. In today's show we catch up with Mr. Steven Vokins, who's been spending time with yet another classy model, the BMW 740i. And John Wright will be continuing with his classic engine rebuild in Inside Motors. But first, pull up your bucket seats and strap in as we take you to one of the biggest and best single mark days ever. The Peugeot Sport Club fixed it so that owners of every sort of Peugeot could come along to the Motor Industry Research Association's test centre and have a great day out driving at high speeds on the test circuit, showing off at the concourse event or just ogling the pride and joy of other owners.
The Peugeot Sport Club annual rally is much more than just a place to show off your polished Peugeot. Here at this year's venue, the Motor Industry Research Association at Nuneaton, the test track was yours to enjoy, with no pesky speed limits or pedestrians to watch out for. And if speed wasn't your thing, noise maybe was.
My name's Mark Emmett. This is my car, Peugeot 306 XSI, which I bought from new. I was into the cars ever since I was sort of a lot younger, so with this one I decided to put a hi-fi install into it. One thing led to another. Before I knew it, I'd spent £7,500 on equipment. A year of my life pulling my car apart, installing a hi-fi, which went on to win Live 95 Novice Free. I don't like leaving it parked up anywhere. If I park it in a car park, I'll park it in a distant corner so no one opens doors on it, or park it where I can see it. It don't come out as often as it should do. It's a nice car and it don't get the use it should. On the rear shelf there's a Peugeot toolbox, which a lot of people think is a Peugeot part. That is again part of the hi-fi, which is like custom built by myself in order to sort of generate some points for the competitiveness of sound off. As you can see from the film, I've adapted my car. Down low here below the ashtray there's a temperature gauge, which ain't for the exterior temperature, it's the temperature of the sub bass amplifier. There's a probe installed in the amp which tells me the internal temperature so that I can keep an eye on the system. Also on the steering wheel I've put some micro switches under the steering wheel so I can change volume, track, switch from compact disc to radio.
But it wasn't just the power of the amplifiers that was pumping out this weekend, but also elbow power. It was show and shine time.
Today, both myself and Glenn Campbell will be judging the show and shine and the concourse. In the show and shine, what we'll be looking for is everyday cars that are used to and from work, normal commuting, which are maintained meticulously by the owners. What we're looking for is immaculate paintwork, no curb wheels, immaculately clean engine bays, you know, something that's absolutely babied by its owner and cherished. In the concourse, that is another league altogether. These men are insane. The cars are basically out the factory, brand new, totally nut and bolt rebuild cars. And that's what we'll be judging them on today, as a brand new car.
Well, not such as an obsession, but well, I don't think it is, but the girlfriend does. She thinks I've gone too far. I spend more time with the car than I do with her. I've entered it for the concourse. I came down yesterday afternoon, I jet washed it, and I came back to the hotel and I got a sponge and I washed it again. Came here this morning, I've washed it all off and polished it. Got here for about 7:30 this morning. I started. I was on at about 1 o'clock. So a lot of time spent on it.
When I first bought the car, it was totally standard, 205 GTI 1.9, and within the 3 years I've just carried out numerous modifications. I've won quite a few trophies. Also, it's actually been in Max Power magazine and the Revs magazine. So all the work they have put into it, it's not gone to waste. A lot of my friends do actually take part in these competitions as well as in RS shows or whatever club there is. So generally all my friends are into the same kind of business. So you don't get any of this, you're crazy for doing this, or you're mad for doing this, because generally all my friends' cars are to the same standard. So they're pretty easy to live with. In the last week I've averaged a good 13 hours a day in the last, well, week and a half, just before running up to the show.
Yes, he actually said 13 hours a day working on his car. That's obsession with a capital O.
And I don't know, it's just a bit of an obsession really. I really can't put my finger on it. Sometimes my son's here, he's showing his car at the bottom, my daughter's helping out. It's just a bit like a family, it's like a family thing, and I don't know the reason why. I must be a fairly sad individual.
Sadness was the emotion furthest from people's minds when they were zooming round the Myra track here at Nuneaton, pretending they were a touring car champ. Of course, there was the real thing. Patrick Watts was on the Peugeot sports stand. His car may have started life as a standard 406, but now it was miles away from the average repmobile.
Well, apart from the colour, they basically rip all the interior out. They replace the standard road tyres with racing tyres and much modify the engine. As well as that, we then go further and make the car less of a compromise and make the suspension very hard. Basically, it's a Formula 1 car underneath, but it still looks like a Peugeot 406 and has a lot of the attributes of a 406, like the multi-link rear suspension, which is a great bonus to us over the old 405 we had last year. Even the engine, it has to be in the same position, but they move it back a foot and down about 6 inches to get the weight distribution better, which doesn't aid servicing, for instance, because you can't actually see the exhaust system inside the engine. It's a massive job to change anything inside because it's a no compromise race car. The wheels and tyres, they're as big as you're allowed to go. They're 19-inch diameter, 9 inches wide. The brakes diameter is the same as most people's road car, 14-inch diameter brakes. But you need that because you're slowing down nearly 1 tonne of car from getting on for maybe 155 miles an hour down to 40 miles an hour, say at Thruxton. And you're constantly on and off the brakes. You need massive great brakes. And altogether, I wouldn't want to drive it on the road. Give me my 406 V6 any day. I've just been going around the high-speed circuit here in the 306 GTI and the GTI 6 and the 106 GTI at like 140 miles an hour, going around the bank corners at 125 to 130. When you're racing, you're used to dicing wheel to wheel at 130, 140 miles an hour. Then you get on the motorway on the way home, down the M6, round the M25, and you think it is totally safe.
While we enjoy the day's proceedings, let's have a thought for the organiser. After all, days like this don't just happen.
First one had to find a venue that could be afforded and then bring everything on that you require. Toilets, refreshments, the traders of course, mobile generators, loads of things that one wouldn't normally think about. Refreshments, ice cream carts, the insurance. Funnily enough, the highest insurance is for the quarter-mile standing start sprint, where one goes in one's own car. It's just for a few seconds and the risk is very low. In fact, the insurance for the performance circuit over here, which has more vehicles on, is relatively low.
Of course, one of the advantages of joining a club like this is to help get cheaper insurance. As you know, if you modify a car, it's a real problem. And looking around, there was hardly an unmodified car in sight.
Well, it's a little bit different, this one. It's got a transplanted MI16 engine out of a 405, which wasn't brought into this country as a standard vehicle. They did do it in France, and it was sold in France on left-hand drive form. They've imported quite a few into this country, but I don't think there's a 5-door one at all in the UK.
I made a 2.5 to Gutman +1 conversion with 150 plus brake, highly modified cam, inlet manifold, filter and exhaust on it. It's a rather scrumptious wheels on as well at the moment.
This is my little baby. 306 XSI 2 litre. I've quite extensively modified it cosmetically. Engine has had like mild modifications. It's about 145 brake horsepower, which is slightly up on standard. I've uprated the suspension, put larger wheels on, changed the headlights, put the spoilers on and had it all painted, put a nice stereo in it, just made it to my own content really. But I love it, I'll never part with it.
And it's a Peugeot 309 GTI, 16 valve, which I've transplanted myself with the help of a friend. It's got about 190 brake horsepower, bigger brakes, bigger suspension. At a recent rolling road event in West Yorkshire, we had problems holding it down onto the rollers. So we had 6 people sat on the front of the car and around 5 people sat inside trying to keep it stable so it didn't jump out with the power. We got 184 brake horsepower at 6,000 revs, but it could have gone some more, but we couldn't hold it down. So we gave it up to a bad job from there.
As the polishing, admiring, bragging and thrashing continued into the afternoon, one couldn't help wondering what was the single element that bonded these people together. Was it simply automotive camaraderie, or something special about that Peugeot marque?
For me, Peugeot are unique in a way. I mean, you've got the likes of your Ford Cosworths and all that sort of stuff, but they just don't have the style at the end of the day. I mean, Peugeots are just that little bit different, and I suppose that's why I like them so much, because I'm that little bit different myself.
They make true drivers' cars, real drivers' cars. I mean, I've looked at various other cars. You know, I can't honestly say I've thought about selling this one, but I've looked at various other cars, and I'd have to spend a hell of a lot more money to get the sort of, you know, grin factor I get with this thing. That's what makes them so special.
It's one of the only manufacturers stuck to the name GTI and followed all the way through performance cars. 2.5, 3.6 now cult versions of the Peugeot marque.
Peugeot are the ultimate hot hatch. It's an affordable sports car, what an everyday man can get out and enjoy.
Well, for me particularly, because for many years I worked for its predecessor in this country, which was Chrysler. But they're just a very good car, they're an affordable vehicle, and they seem to attract a great deal of loyalty, and you only have to look over there to see the Club Peugeot people who come to see us today to see that it has adherents of all ages and all ages of Peugeots there. And they're certainly the most exciting car to drive that I've ever had, and I've been in the motor industry most of my life.
A sport club which really can boast to be one of the best. It'd be great to let yourself go around that test track at Myra. After the break, our man Vokins will be enjoying life with a fantastic BMW 740i, and John Wright will be continuing with his classic MG rebuild project. Hello and welcome back. You're watching Four Wheels Good, the programme that brings meaning to motoring. Steve Vokins is without doubt a man with a passion for cars. He's always loved them. His first word was car. Well, over the last 2 weeks, he's been performing one of his infamous living with tests with a special model. He'd be happy with any car, but this time he's got a BMW 740i.
Nobody buys a BMW by mistake. With such a strong identity, for many people, the marque represents the ultimate status symbol. The manufacturers, however, would rather you look on their car as the ultimate driving machine. So who's right? I've been given this 740i for 2 weeks to see what it's really like, to see is there more to BMW than image and status, and in the interest of motoring journalism, I'm going to put it to the test. Well, I've had the car 4 days now and I'm really beginning to like it. I'm not an automatic BMW fan and I don't believe in praising BMWs just because they're BMWs, but it is a very, very nice car, a very pleasant way of getting from A to B. Its V8 4.4 litre engine delivers nearly 300 brake horse, and that ensures that you can get to point B a lot quicker and in a lot more style than certain cars I've driven.
In 100 yards, turn left.
In the bad old days, you used to need one of these to get around, but with a sat-nav, most of the time, it's very, very good. It knows exactly where you are and never goes wrong. Well, hardly ever. But round here, it does tend to get confused. Turn left, as she says, and...
If possible, make a U-turn.
Anyone who says the Germans don't have a sense of fun should press this button. That is funny. Of course, the engineers at BMW have worked very hard at producing not just a fast car, but a luxury car too. The luxurious ambience of this cabin is just fabulous, and you can enjoy it at any speed. Bowling down a motorway or cruising up to your golf club, no difference. It's just a very pleasant place to be. One of the things I don't like about BMW ownership is the degree of hostility you get from other road users. People cut you up, people always making rude gestures at you. It's just unnecessary. I mean, all right, it is an expensive car, and that's bound to engender a degree of envy. But there's no need for some of the things that I've seen while I've been driving this car. It's completely unnecessary. Well, there it is. 2 weeks. 2 weeks of the BMW 740i. Been a great time. I have to say, I am now convinced that it isn't just the ultimate status symbol. It probably is the ultimate driving experience. But I found something that goes faster than the BMW 740i, and that's 2 weeks with it.
Ah, poor old Steve. Perhaps we can sort you out with another car to test soon. If you've ever wondered how one masters the magic of motor mechanics, then you're on the right path. Follow wise sage John Wright as he beckons you into his mysterious temple and whispers inside motors.
He's ground the mains, now he's just about to set it up for the big ends. Now he's got to take it off centre by the amount that the stroke is. And when he's done that, what will happen is that the machine itself will turn off centre. Just mic up the main bearings. As you can see in this trade, it's all precision. Micrometers are used everywhere. Now he's just checking that it's rotating correctly and round on those big ends.
Did you say you wanted 30 on your on the big ends and all?
I think the big ends are going to have to go to 40, aren't they?
Yeah, because at the moment they're 30. So
Right, take them to 40.
that will do fine.
Actually, he's just confirming what we found when we stripped the engine down and was printed on the back of the bearings. Anyway, here we go. Do the big ends. Now he's giving it a regrind, he's just giving it a final polish. Make those journals really shine. As part of the normal procedures, they'll have the journals checked by the foreman, so that it's had 2 independent checks on the sides, just to make sure they're really accurate. Thank you very much. How's he done?
Okay.
Lovely.
Yeah, all I do is I check them for size, taper and ovality. That's why you saw me checking it in sort of 2 different places on each pin.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you for doing a good job. And I think we'll thank Tony as well for grinding it for us. Thank you very much, Tony. Right, what he's doing here is pressing the valve guides out. Just set it up to press the other one out and put it on this hydraulic press. Drop the ram down and hey presto, there goes another valve guide.
Thanks there, John, for leading us round your spiritual home of Inside Motors. That's about it for 4 Wheels Good today. Join us next week when Ian Royal tests Audi's powerful sport version of the A8, the S8. Jenny Buckley tests the estate version of the popular new-look Volkswagen Passat, and we take another look at Seat's Ibiza TDI in its native country. See you then.